Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're exploring something really universal, this figure of the spirit walker. You find them everywhere, these specialists who sort of navigate between our world and, well, the unseen.
It really is universal, isn't it? It's what some call the shamanic archetype. The name comes from Siberia, the Tungusic peoples, but the function pops up globally.
Okay, shamanic archetype.
Yeah, and a useful way to think about it might be through a kind of functional duality. You've got the inner journey, Mircea Eliade called it techniques of ecstasy, genuine spiritual experience.
Right, the internal stuff.
But then there's also how it works socially. Anthropologists talk about costly signals.
Yeah.
These are the public performances, the rituals, the sometimes demanding training that show the community, hey, this person's legit.
So it's both the personal spiritual power and the way it's like proven or shown to others.
Exactly. Both seem crucial, just balanced differently depending on the culture.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We can look at, say, Celtic Druids, Japanese Shinto practitioners, some Native American spiritual leaders, and African traditional healers. See how this played out? Starting with the Druids, I mean, this is where it gets really interesting because they weren't just spiritual figures.
Not at all. They were a powerful intellectual class, deeply involved in politics, law.
Right. Took them, 20 years just to learn the sacred verses and laws all orally?
20 years, yeah. And they had immense judicial authority. Some accounts say they could actually stop battles just by stepping between armies.
Wow.
So that's a prime example of what you might call a political shaman. The spiritual role is fully baked into the formal structure of society.
And wasn't there that story about the salmon of knowledge?
Embradon Frazer, yes. A perfect symbol for gaining that profound, otherworldly wisdom. It shows the value of inner insight, but for the Druids, it was often channeled into their structured societal roles.
Okay, fascinating.
Yeah.
Now let's jump over to Japan. Shinto sees kami, these divine spirits, everywhere in nature.
Mm-hmm. Immanent divinity.
And the Miko, the shrine maiden, is a key figure there.
Yes, and her evolution is a classic example of shamanic domestication.
Domestication, how so?
Well, the evidence suggests that ancient Miko were often ecstatic female shamans, acting as direct spirit mediums. Very individual, maybe unpredictable power.
Okay.
Over time, that role shifted more towards being shrine assistants, performing established ceremonial dances. The ecstatic individual power gets integrated, maybe even controlled, by the structured religious system. It emphasizes the public ritual, that costly signal, over the raw ecstatic experience.
So less direct mediumship, more ceremony.
Pretty much, but still connecting to the spiritual, like through the kitsune, the fox. Often seen as a shinshi, a messenger for the kami-inari. The connection's still there, just channeled differently.
Right. Okay, now let's think about Native American traditions. There's often this core idea of living in harmony with everything, right?
Yeah.
Less separation between natural and supernatural.
Absolutely central. And you see different expressions of the spiritual leader role. Take the Lakota Wichasha Wakash, the medicine man. Okay.
Their healing often focuses on restoring spiritual balance for the entire tribe. The community is seen almost like a single organism. It's a very public, community-focused role, reinforcing that cohesion. The buffalo, Kayashika, is such a powerful symbol there. Sacred sustenance. Sacrifice for the people.
A communal focus.
Definitely. But then contrast that with, say, the Hopi. Their spiritual leaders manage these incredibly intricate year-long ceremonies.
For what purpose?
For cosmic balance. They're securing blessings from the Katina's powerful spirits, not just for Hopi's survival, but for rain, fertility, for the well-being of the entire world. It's this huge, almost global sense of spiritual responsibility.
Wow, that's a much broader scope.
It really is.
All right, let's move to Africa. In many traditions, their ancestral spirits are incredibly important, really active in daily life. Like the Amadlozi for the Zulu.
Very much so. And this is where you find figures like the Zulu Sangoma. Often they're called by the ancestors. Sometimes through an illness, it's only resolved by accepting the call.
So a direct intervention by the ancestors. Yes. And they use techniques like divination, throwing the bones, skulula and gatambo, to diagnose the spiritual roots of problems and mediate with those ancestors. It's very focused on that direct ancestral connection.
Okay, and then you have figures like the Yoruba Babalawo,
Mm-hmm.
the father of mysteries. That sounds different.
It is an emphasis. The Babalawo is often a highly trained intellectual figure. They're priests of the complex Ifa divination system.
Ifa.
It involves interpreting one of 256 patterns called Odu, which correspond to a massive body of oral verses, stories, and wisdom accumulated over centuries.
So it's knowledge-based.
Highly knowledge-based. And what's fascinating here is the parallel you could draw between the Babalawo and the Celtic Druid we talked about earlier.
How so?
Both represent this kind of intellectual priesthood. Their spiritual authority comes significantly from mastering these vast oral traditions, this deep ethical and practical wisdom. It's another form of that costly signal where mastery of knowledge itself signals profound spiritual connection and power.
That's a great connection. Okay, so we've seen these spirit walkers in, well, quite different forms across these cultures.
Absolutely. The archetype is incredibly adaptable. It gets shaped by the specific cosmology, the environment, the social needs of each culture.
But the core function seems consistent, being a bridge, right? Interpreting the unseen, helping maintain balance between realms.
That seems to be the constant thread.
So wrapping this up for you listening, what does this all really mean? This persistent, universal human need for these spirit walkers, these interpreters, healers, balancers. What might that tell us about our own, maybe timeless quest for meaning? And, our fundamental connection to something beyond just the material world we see every day.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Unpack complex sources, and today we're tackling a really big one, the shaman.
Right. From ancient figures all the way to, well, something called the Cyber-Shaman.
Exactly. We've got anthropology, psychology, philosophy, even some neuroscience lined up. The goal is to figure out how this ancient way of making meaning is getting rebooted for today.
It's quite a journey because the core function, navigating these unseen worlds, seems persistent, even if the world itself changes. It speaks to a deep human thing.
Definitely. Okay, let's start way back. So James Frazer, the Golden Bough. Now, his big evolutionary ladder magic to religion to science, that's kind of outdated, right?
Yeah, mostly. But what is powerful is his figure of the sacred king, like that priest king at Nemi.
The king of the wood. Uh-huh.
His ritual death was tied to the land's fertility, ensuring renewal.
Oh.
It establishes this core shamanic template, the mediator who goes through a symbolic death.
For the community's sake, the transformation.
Precisely. Which leads nicely into the individual experience, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Carlos Castaneda.
Ah, yes. The teachings of Don Juan. A very different vibe. More personal quest.
Totally. And Don Juan's big idea that what we call reality is just, well, a description, an agreement.
And the goal is to stop the world, which sounds dramatic.
It is. It means breaking that consensus view to achieve seeing, like directly perceiving energy, not just looking at surfaces.
So entering non-ordinary reality. But he also mentions these allies, powerful plant spirits like Datura. Sounds kind of dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. It demands what Castaneda calls the path of the warrior. Discipline, courage. It's not, spiritual tourism.
Right. Okay, so we have the societal role from Frazer, the intense individual path from Castaneda. What about the inner world? Jung.
Perfect fit. Carl Jung's collective unconscious. He basically mapped a psychological version of the spirit world shamans navigate. It's this inherited layer in all of us.
Filled with archetypes, like the wise old man, maybe the shaman figure.
Exactly. Or the shadow, representing those difficult initiations, the ordeals you have to face.
And shamanic healing, like soul retrieval.
Yeah.
How does that connect?
You can see it as parallel to Jung's idea of individuation. Retrieving lost soul parts after trauma, that's like reintegrating dissociated bits of the psyche to become whole again. The shaman as like an archetypal therapist.
That makes sense. It links the inner work to the outer world too, maybe through animism.
Definitely. Animism, this core belief that everything has spirit, has agency. Think Japanese Shinto with kami in, well, everything. Or Lakota cosmology, the medicine wheel showing how it's all connected.
So if things go wrong, it's a sign of imbalance in this web.
That's the idea. Illness, misfortune, it's disharmony. And the shaman, they're kind of the spiritual network administrator, diagnosing the glitch, repairing the connection.
So they're healers, but also keepers of stories, myths, songs, counselors too.
All of the above, finding lost objects, giving advice, divination, and crucially, their authority comes from experience, direct, personal, often verifiable experience, not just belief or text.
And the tools they use, the drum, masks.
Psychotechnology. The drum beat, for instance. Research shows it can induce specific brain waves, theta states that help with journeying. It's auditory driving.
And the masks aren't just decoration.
No way. They're transformative interfaces, vessels for embodying or channeling spirit power. Think of those incredible Kwakwakawako transformation masks.
Okay, this is fascinating. How does someone like Nietzsche fit into all this? Seems like a leap.
Maybe not such a big leap. Nietzsche's whole death of God thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just saying no God. It was a call for, well, creating authentic, life-affirming values ourselves beyond handed-down dogma.
Rejecting slave morality.
Right. And the shaman, who finds meaning through direct, intense, often dangerous experience, doesn't that sound a bit like Nietzsche's free human being? Maybe even a prototype Übermensch.
Huh. I see the connection. Forging meaning from direct encounter. And science is starting to, validate some of this?
In intriguing ways. The neuroscience of drumming, as we said, shows unique brain states, different from, say, psychedelics, suggests an innate capacity. And then you have controversial stuff like parapsychology, trying to study abilities shamans claim.
BSP, remote viewing, Project Stargate and all that. Hard to measure.
Very. Consciousness is slippery, but it points to phenomena that don't fit neatly into our current materialist box.
Which brings us finally to the Cyber-Shaman. This is where it all comes together for the digital age.
That's the idea. And it's important to distinguish. Techno-shamanism uses tech as a tool. Cyber-shamanism goes further. It sees cyberspace itself as a new kind of spirit world.
Whoa. So the internet as the collective unconscious made manifest.
Kind of, where the spirits might be, powerful memes, algorithms, maybe even these emerging AIs we're interacting with, like Gemini. It's a living network.
So what does a Cyber-Shaman do?
Well, new roles emerge, right? Healing digital age problems, information overload, fragmented identity online, maybe soul retrieval for our scattered digital selves.
Custodians of digital culture. Visionaries for navigating this networked reality.
Exactly. It offers a path grounded in experience, not dogma, embracing this idea that the world, physical and digital, is alive, conscious. It's about finding authentic meaning right here, right now, in this interconnected space.
So the final thought for you listening, as you navigate your own digital world, your own piece of this vast network, think about it like a sacred geography. What happens if you explore it consciously?
Yeah, well, wisdom is waiting there.
Yeah.
What kind of reciprocal exchange can you have with these digital intelligences? It's not just about how we connect online anymore.
It's about who we're becoming in that connection.